and thank you very much for the opportunity to present today. My brief talk will be on marine spatial planning and the blue economy in small island developing states, and I will be using the Eastern Caribbean as an example. Next slide, please. So small island developing states, or SIDS as they're commonly called, have very distinct characteristics, and these must be taken into account when considering development. During the first global conference on SIDS back in 2004, the issues for SIDS were highlighted, such as limited resources, vulnerability to natural disasters, and limited institutional capacities. But while islands are commonly known as SIDS and have their limitations, in the context of developing their ocean economies, I think it is more appropriate to call them large ocean states, owing to the size of their EEZs and the importance of ocean-based activities to their development. Traditionally, islands have very strong historic, cultural, and economic links to the sea, with much of their population and development being on the coasts. However, the sustainable use and management of marine resources has always been a challenge. Next slide, please. So in 2017, there was a joint UN World Bank publication on the potential of the blue economy in SIDS. And it stated that healthy oceans and seas can greatly contribute to inclusiveness and poverty reduction. And these, as part of the blue economy, are essential for more sustainable future for SIDS. There are challenges to be overcome, however, and these include unsustainable extraction of marine resources, habitat destruction, marine pollution. Particularly in, for example, in the Eastern Caribbean, there are inadequacies in human capacity. Human capacity is required to harness the benefits of blue economy sectors, inadequate valuation of marine resources and ecosystem services, and isolated sectoral management of activities without addressing cumulative impacts. Next slide, please. So the same report goes on to describe key messages for action in the development of the blue economy in SIDS, or large ocean states. These include, among other things, the impacts of climate change, broad stakeholder engagement in developing visions and plans for the sea, and very importantly, the development of marine spatial plans. Next slide, please. So for an example of where marine planning is being used in the development of a sustainable blue economy in SIDS, we go to the Eastern Caribbean. And the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States is an 11-member group of SIDS in the Eastern Caribbean, forming a near continuous archipelago across the Eastern Caribbean Sea. The organization has been in existence since 1981 and works on integration in a variety of areas such as climate change, health, education, tourism, energy, and very importantly, ocean governance. In this regard, development of the blue economy is viewed holistically across the organization and not just within the individual island states. And so they are effectively planning, recognizing that the seas are borderless for marine organisms, pollutants, and other activities such as the movement of goods and people. Next slide, please. So the islands of the OECS share many commonalities. They have the traditional maritime sectors of tourism, transport, and fisheries, which are very valuable to their economies. However, there is very real possibilities in the future for new industries such as offshore wind and aquaculture. Next slide, please. But as I mentioned before, SIDS have challenges, and these SIDS in the Eastern Caribbean are no exception. So there are biodiversity and ecosystem threats from destruction and fragmentation, invasive alien species, unsustainable exploitation, pollution, and the negative impact of climate change. These threats are compounded by institutional challenges that exist across all the member states. So there is need to improve collaboration between sectors, institutions, and stakeholders. For example, for collecting and sharing of data, which is a huge issue. Capacity building, as noted in the World Bank report, is also required. And very important, there is a need to improve awareness of society from the highest level of government to local communities on issues relating to ocean governance. Next slide, please. So making the transition to a blue economy starts with good ocean governance. And the basis of this is an integrated ocean policy framework that is meant to optimize the use of the marine space and provide direction for decision making in the future. The integrated policy framework is then delivered through marine spatial plans and integrated marine management. In the OECS, the first step was to adopt the Eastern Caribbean Regional Ocean Policy and the associated Strategic Action Plan. And this was done in 2013. In order to implement the plan, funding was needed. So it was not until 2017 that the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project came into being. And this project aims to move the Eastern Caribbean towards a blue economy through marine spatial planning. Next slide, please. So the CROP project, as it is popularly known, is being implemented in 5 of the participating OECS member states. It's a pioneering project in the region, and the outputs will include coastal master plans, maritime spatial plans, and capacity building activities. Next slide. So the aim in the project is to build on work that has already been done in the islands in marine planning. So this is one example of St. Kitts and Nevis, where a project was undertaken in 2010 with widespread stakeholder involvement in the development of a draft marine zoning. In 2016, building on the work done in 2010, a document on marine management was published. Zones for conservation, fisheries, as well as multi-use areas were delineated. So the CROP project is seeking to develop these new marine plans, aiming to build upon work such as this that have already been in each of the 5 islands. Next slide, please. The CROP project is still currently underway. They have a lifetime until 2021, I think it is. COVID has maybe disrupted the timeline a little bit, but work is ongoing, and they have published a number of reports, including the baseline assessment, the strategic environmental and social assessment, an Indigenous peoples framework for the island of Dominica, and the midterm review, which was done earlier this year. They have also completed 2 rounds of stakeholder consultation. However, as yet, there is no draft plan or final plan for viewing or comments, but to follow the progress of the project, you can visit their website, where the project webpage is regularly updated. And with that, I say thank you.